Hi, I'm here to tell you that you're already happy, and you'll find that out when you stop chasing self-help solutions that are designed to take you to happiness. After 4 decades researching psychology and neuroscience and delivering over 10,000 coaching hours testing what actually changes human behavior, here's what I know. They're lying to you about what happiness even is. They're selling you what your mind thinks it wants, not what it actually needs. A bit like this guy. I'm Neil Bierbaum, investigative journalist turned master certified coach, and in this video, I'm going to show you exactly where the happiness advice fails, what the science actually says, and what works instead. Let me start with a core lie, that happiness is a feeling you should have most of the time. The happiness industry didn't create this idea. It's a seed with much deeper origins, but it certainly has reinforced it. And they're wrong. First, happiness, the kind of happiness we need, isn't a feeling. It's a state of mind, or more accurately, a state of being. And second, the feeling you're chasing isn't happiness. This is where almost everyone gets it wrong, and it's costing them decades of their lives. If you want the science, here it is. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, a professor of psychology at Chicago University, spent decades researching what he ultimately called optimal experience, or what most people call the flow state. And he studied over 8,000 people across different cultures and activities. And here's what he found that the self-help industry ignores. Peak moments are outliers by definition. Every experience has exactly one peak moment, not 3, not sustained bliss, 1. And you know it's that moment when you register the beauty of a day, or that moment when you truly hear a song, or when you're present to the fact that you're about to, say, see your favorite artist live on stage, or you're in a great conversation or an orgasm, let's say. One peak. And here's the mechanism that ruins everything. Because you're not conscious in the moment, because you don't recognize it as the peak while it's happening, it passes while you're lost inside it. Then you spend the rest of your life with this niggly feeling that something's missing. Your life becomes an ongoing attempt to recreate a permanent version of something that doesn't exist. Now, there are 2 levels to understand here. The superficial level, what you can observe in behavior, and the ontological level, the deeper mechanism that's driving everything. I'm going to show you both, because understanding the surface without the depth won't help you, and understanding the depth without seeing how it shows up won't either. Let's start with the superficial level. Here's how this trap plays out in real life. And I've seen this pattern across hundreds of coaching clients, is when someone says they're not happy or not happy enough in their relationship or their career. Meanwhile, what they're actually doing is comparing ordinary Tuesday to the first 3 months of dating or the first week of the new job. They're chasing a peak that already happened. Or the person who once had a transcendent experience at a music festival and now spends every weekend trying to manufacture that same high. More clubs, more drinks, more dancing, more desperation. The come down gets worse each time. And here's one more example, which is kind of funny and maybe best illustrates my point. It's men who are genuinely too old to have sex, but chasing women half their age. It's not the body that's demanding it because the hormones are depleted. So what makes them do it? They're chasing an experience that lives in memory and will only ever live in memory, trying to make it happen again. And we can laugh at them, but we all do that in one way or another. It's exactly what I'm pointing to. And here's the trap. When you're not conscious that a peak moment is a peak moment while it's happening, you end up missing the moment and then endlessly chasing that repeat. You push yourself to have more fun. You go harder, louder, longer. Even though you've still got work tomorrow, you still hit the after party, the next venue, dance until dawn. Then comes the crash and you have to go again. And that's an extreme example. Maybe you don't party. Maybe you chase it on Tinder, swiping left, looking for that one person who will give you that main line of ongoing happiness. It never arrives because it doesn't exist. And the cycle destroys your life. You end up missing what you do have. Now, the self-help industry will tell you that this is just negative thinking, that you can train yourself to feel good all the time, that happiness is abundant if you just shift your mindset, shift your energy. Let me show you why that's biological nonsense. Your brain is designed to notice and remember peaks, not appreciate plateaus. This isn't philosophy, it's neurobiology. It's based on the hedonic adaptation research by Brickman and Campbell in the 1970s, and it's been replicated hundreds of times since. You adapt to positive circumstances within weeks or months. So that promotion, the new relationship, the dream house, they all return you to your baseline happiness level very quickly, sooner than you think. That's why lottery winners return to their pre-winning happiness levels within like a year. It's also why people in new relationships report less satisfaction after 6 months, even in objectively good partnerships. So your nervous system isn't built for sustained peak experiences. It's built to notice contrast, to register novelty, and then adapt. Which means the self-help promise of continuous happiness is selling you something that your biology can't deliver. The marketing industry has built $1 trillion economy on this. They keep you on the treadmill, living on credit, chasing the next high that neuroscience says you can't sustain. So that's the superficial level, the patterns you can observe, and the neuroscience that explains them. Now let me take you deeper to the ontological level. This is where the real transformation happens. Ontology is the study of the nature of being. And here's what I've observed in 10,000 hours of applying ontological coaching. When you learn to observe your own experience directly, not through studies, but through your own awareness, you see something the scientists can't measure. So forget the research for a minute. I want you to investigate this yourself. Because once you see it directly, you don't need me or any researcher to convince you. Let's do it. Let's slow it down, frame by frame. If you observe any experience directly, you don't need a scientist or a statistician to do it for you. You'll see that there is one peak moment. The best example, an orgasm. As good as the rest of the sex might be, the orgasm tops it. That's the peak. Or when you listen to music, or you fall in love, there's a moment when you get the song or the other person, when it hits you. The song is never as wonderful again. The person is never as intoxicating. Yet we keep playing it over and over, the song. Or we marry the person and keep trying all kinds of things with them, different sexual positions, exotic holidays, wild parties, to recreate that experience. It never comes back. The problem is we're not properly awake, so we don't know this about life. If we knew this, really knew it, we'd do things differently. We'd watch for peak moments. We'd see them coming. Oh, here it comes. We'd celebrate it while it lasts. Then we'd let it go and return to our business, the daily grind. But here's where people get stuck. They ask, how can you be happy with a daily grind? And here's the hard truth. The daily grind is the game. There is no other game. The peak moments only exist because of the grind. When you're wishing life was different, you miss both the grind and the peaks. That's the trap. You're like someone calling for help, then help arrives, but it's not dressed in a first responder suit, so you miss it and keep calling for help. The ancient Greeks understood this. Remember Sisyphus, the god thrown from heaven for the sin of hubris or pride and sentenced to spend eternity pushing a rock up a hill. When it reached the top, it rolled down again, forever. The story doesn't end there. When Sisyphus accepted his fate, he was able to do it with joy. And there, in his humility, was his victory. In ontological coaching, we've identified this phenomenon precisely. We call it the mood of humanity, a background dissatisfaction you're not conscious of, but that drives everything you do. It's the background texture, the climate of our lives, the strange chronic feeling that something's missing. Because you're not conscious of it, you're driven by it. You're driven to chase happiness. And the marketing and self-help industries string you along, promising the next solution will finally deliver what's missing. It won't, because nothing's actually missing. You're already in the only game there is. The dissatisfaction isn't telling you to find a different game. It's telling you to wake up to this one. Now you're thinking, great, Neil, so I'll just accept that life sucks and that's happiness? No. Here's what actually works. There are 3 things. Firstly, recognize that life is about a few peak moments, not continuous highs. When you accept this, you stop demanding that every day feel extraordinary. You stop comparing Tuesday to your wedding day. You stop expecting your 20th year at a job to feel like your first week. This isn't lowering your standards. This is aligning with how human neurology actually functions. Number 2, learn to identify peak moments as they're happening. This is a trainable skill. When something good is happening, you consciously register. This is the peak moment of this experience. You feel it fully. You're present to all its sweetness and intensity. Then, And this is the crucial bit. You watch it pass and you watch it go. You wave it goodbye. It's not even let it go, it's watch it go, because it's not you letting, it's going anyway. You wave it goodbye. You don't try to extend it. You don't immediately start planning how to recreate it. You experienced it. That's enough. I call this leaving at the peak of the party. You know that thing at the party as well, every party you have, there's always that peak moment. When that's come, I always leave immediately afterwards. I don't try to recreate it. And I've tested this with hundreds of clients. And the ones who can identify and release those peaks report massively reduced anxiety about missing out or not being happy enough. The third thing is to learn to appreciate all the other moments for what they are. And this is where actual happiness lives. Not in the peaks, those are intense but rare, as we've seen. Happiness lives in your acceptance of the ordinary moments between peaks. When you stop fighting reality, demanding it be different, then you discover something the positive psychology industry doesn't want you to know. You can be as happy as you'll ever be right now, in this moment, without changing a thing. Not because you've manifested abundance, or shifted your energy, or chosen positivity, or written in your gratitude journal, because you've stopped resisting what is. And here's what the happiness industry won't tell you, because it would destroy their business model. You don't need their courses. You don't need their 12-week programs. You don't need their morning routines or gratitude journals or positive affirmations. What you need is to be awake, to be conscious. The ability to recognize what's actually happening in your experience rather than living in a fantasy about how it should be different. That's not something they can package and sell for $997. I've watched this play out thousands of times. The clients who make the most progress aren't the ones who buy more programs or try harder to be positive. They're the ones who wake up to the gap between their expectations and the reality, and then close that gap. They stop chasing peak moments and start noticing them. They stop demanding continuous happiness and start accepting what is. And guess what happens? That acceptance, that alignment with reality, they discover that's happiness. So let me leave you with this. The next time you have a good experience, a great conversation, a beautiful moment, a professional victory, try this experience. Recognize it as the peak moment. Feel it fully. Then let it go. Watch it go. Don't try to extend it. Don't immediately start planning the sequel. Just let it complete itself. Then notice what happens in the hours and days after. You might discover that you're happier in the ordinary moments than you've been in years. Not because you've changed your circumstances, because you've stopped fighting them. And that's what 4 decades of research and 10,000 coaching hours have taught me about happiness. It was never about feeling good all the time. It was about being awake to what's actually here. Thank you. And if you found value from that, please remember to subscribe, leave your experience in the comments, and share with those who you think might benefit. I'm Neil Beerbaum, and I'm debunking the myths of the self-help industry because your best self deserves better.